to discuss about the silk production. Previously we have already understood about the wool production. So here for the silk, let us first understand the rearing of silkworm for obtaining silk is known as sericulture. Now is silk, in Hindi we call it as resham. So now before understanding the process of obtaining silk, let us first understand the life cycle of silk moth, which gives us the silk fiber. Now here let us understand through the flow chart. Now first, the female silk moth lays eggs on the leaf of mulberry tree. Now after that, these eggs hatch into larvae. These larvae are also called as caterpillar, or we can also call them as silkworm. These are called silkworm because this stage, that means the larva, or we can say the caterpillar, they produce the silk fiber. Hence the name is silkworm. So the question can become, which stage of the silk moth produces the silk fiber? So the larvae or the caterpillar, or you can say the silkworm, produces the silk fiber. Then after this larval stage, the next stage is pupa. But before this pupa, the larva covers itself with a protein that is in liquid form, and when this liquid form protein comes in contact with the air, it solidifies and makes a structure which we call as cocoon. So just like you must have seen the nest of a bird, rounded nest of a bird, it is spherical in shape. So this larva, it wraps around itself a protein, and when it gets solidified, this cocoon is formed. In this cocoon, the pupa grows and attains its next stage, that is the adult silk moth. When the pupa matures inside this cocoon, it breaks open the cocoon at one end and it flies out. Now this was about the life history of silk moth. Here some important points are, now cocoon is basically a protein released by the larva to cover itself for the further development. Now for this silk moth, mulberry tree cultivation is done because the silk moth feeds on the leaves of mulberry tree. Here in the production of silk, China leads in the world silk production. India holds the second rank in the world silk production. Now here in this life cycle, one thing is important, that at this larval stage, now because these larvae produce the silk, the protein which we get in the form of silk, the cocoon that is made of silk protein, this, if we want to get the silk, we need to process this cocoon. Now what happens in processing the cocoon to obtain the silk fiber, this pupa which is inside the cocoon, or you can say the larva which is inside the cocoon, gets killed. So the further life cycle, that is the stage of pupa and adult silk moth, does not occur, because at the larval stage only the larva produces the protein to make the cocoon, and as soon as the cocoon gets completed, we need to process it for obtaining the silk fiber. And if we some of these cocoons are left so that they can attain the adult silk moth stage, so that further the female silk moth lay egg and the life cycle continues. Here if we do not obtain the cocoon silk fibers from this cocoon, then what will happen? At the time when the silk moth tries to come out of the cocoon, it breaks open at some point. Suppose at this point the silk moth breaks open the cocoon. So at this stage, the fibers of silk gets destroyed. So if we need to obtain the silk fiber, we need to process the cocoon at this stage only. Now the next topic is from cocoon to silk. Now we have learned that the silk is obtained from the cocoon. Now what is the process of obtaining this silk from the cocoon? Now in this first step is the rearing of silkworms. Now here the female silk moth lays hundreds of eggs. Now when these eggs are carefully stored and carefully taken out and stored on strips of paper or cloth. Then these eggs are sold to the farmers. The farmers used to keep these eggs under hygienic conditions and provide suitable temperature and humidity so that the eggs can hatch into larvae. Now this hatching is done at the time when the mulberry tree bears the fresh leaves. This is because when the larvae hatch out of the egg, they used to eat day and night. So plenty of food should be available to them. Now after this, the larvae are kept in a bamboo trays, and between 25 to 30 days they stops eating and starts spinning the cocoon. Now for this cocoon to get an attachment, small twigs can be provided to which the cocoon gets attached. Now inside this cocoon the larva develops. Now next is processing of silk. In processing of silk, first step comes is keeping the cocoons under sun or boiled, or they are exposed to steam. A pile of cocoons are kept under the sun, or they are boiled, or they are exposed to steam. Why? This is because boiling or keeping under sun or exposing them to the steam helps the silk fibers to get separated. Now after getting separated, the silk fibers can be taken out, and thus the process of taking out threads from cocoon for using it as a silk is called as reeling the silk. Yes, the removal of, or you can say the removal of threads from the cocoon to use it as a silk is called reeling the silk. Now next is the silk fibers are then, after removal from the cocoon, these silk fibers are spun into silk threads which can be woven into silk clothes. Now there are different varieties of silk available. Now some of them are mulberry silk, tussar silk, muga silk, kosa silk, eri silk, etc. Now out of these, mulberry silk is the most common silk. Now silk are of two kinds, natural silk and artificial silk. Natural silk, we call it the silk which is obtained from the animals that we have learned, the silk moth. It gives us the silk worm, it gives us the silk. So silkworm is categorized under the category of animal. So the silk we obtain from them is considered to as natural silk. On the other hand, artificial silk, rayon, is considered to be as artificial silk because it is obtained from wood pulp, and wood pulp is a plant thing, and it is not from any animal. So therefore natural silk, or you can say the pure silk, is obtained from animal, and artificial silk, that is the rayon, is obtained from wood pulp. Now this natural or artificial silk can be distinguished by testing, by doing a test which we call as burning test. When you burn the silk fiber, which is natural, which you can say the pure silk fabric, it gives us the smell of burning, like a burning hair. But on the other hand, if you burn a piece of artificial silk, it will give you the smell of burning paper. This is how you can distinguish between a natural silk and an artificial silk. Let us now see the life history of this silk moth through diagrams. So here in this picture you can see it is showing the life cycle of silkworm. So first in this diagram you can see the number of eggs are there. Then these eggs hatch and we get the larva. This is also known as the caterpillar. This larva then forms the cocoon. You can see this is the picture of cocoons. These are the cocoons which are a kind of protein produced by the larva. Now after this larva, the next stage is pupa. This pupa is inside the cocoon. You can see here, this is showing the pupa is inside this cocoon, and here inside the cocoon the pupa grows and develops, and then the pupa, the adult silk moth breaks open the cocoon, and we can see the beautiful moth in the next stage. And then again the female moth will lay egg, and the cycle continues. So here you can see the three different stages. This is the cocoon, you can see the larva, or you can say it a caterpillar also, you can say it a silkworm also. And this you can see the pupa. So I hope the life cycle is clear over here. With this, I have completed this chapter. I hope you have understood the chapter Fiber to Fabric, in which we have discussed about the animal fibers, that is the wool and the silk. Thank you.